hosting the FinBizz 2030 event for the second time in Indonesia, particularly as it fits in perfectly with this year's APA Fast theme that is proud to be an accountant, chartered accountant as difference maker. It is amazing to see how many people have joined us today. We have over 2,000 attendees, from the 80 countries all around the world, which is so exceptional. For those who do not know Finance and Business 2030 or the FinBizz 2030, it is an initiative led by one young world and chartered accountant worldwide. Their mission is to unite and mobilize the leaders across these two sectors to tackle the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs, and they do this through the FinBizz 2030 task forces that are operational all around the world. There are FinBizz task forces up and running in the UK, in the South Africa, Ireland, and the United States, with over 70 talented young leaders driving forward impactful initiative. A year on from our previous webinar last year, today we will be focusing on how we have begun recovery from the pandemic, refocus our priorities, and rebuilding our futures. We are certainly not the only country who are reevaluating their priorities and making change for a better future. Today, we will be hearing from the 6 excellent speakers around the world who will each bring their unique expertise to give you a holistic view and pearl of wisdom of how to recover, refocus, and rebuild. So stay tuned, everyone, with us for the next 1 hour to listen to these amazing speakers that I guarantee you will be left energized and full of excitement to live your career and aspiration in the future for your profession. But before we hear from the speakers, we have some housekeeping notes to run. For those of you who having any issues with the bandwidth or internet connection, you can lower down the resolution of your streams on your computer so you can see us better and smooth. We encourage you also to share your favorite quotes or moments from this event on social media by adding the hashtag FinBizz, FINBIZ 2030, and tagging us in your post. More importantly, there will be also a very interactive session in this series. So I encourage you also to pose your queries with thought-provoking questions to be discussed with our panelists. So guys, use this opportunity wisely because we have already gathered you with this amazing speaker to sit with us and to share their knowledge today. So without any further ado, our first speaker today, joining all the way from the United Kingdom, it is our Chartered Accountants Worldwide Chairman and ICAEW CEO, Michael Iza. Over to you, Michael.
Welcome to this FinBizz 2030. I'm Michael Iza, Chairman of Chartered Accountants Worldwide. Let me start with this. First of all, can I thank the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Indonesia, Chartered Accountant Worldwide's member institutes for co-hosting this event. Can I also thank Bad Eye for moderating the session and their experience with our audience. I'm looking forward to finding out more about the aims and to hearing from the selection of speakers lined up. To hear from some impressive young leaders who are making a difference today. As finance and business professionals, you are the trusted advisors, and we need you more than ever to help to rebuild a sustainable future. Today's webinar, the theme Recover, Refocus, Rebuild, will provide reflection and consider globally what we have collectively experienced. We hear about strategies for how we can build a better world, which is brilliant. Our panelists will share their stories about how they're caught in the world and how they're trying to bring about change and what you can do. Throughout the Building Resilience webinar series, about the importance of determination, purpose, attitude, positivity, and perhaps most of all, resilience, as resilience is key to address new challenges. As have highlighted the serious challenges that are facing the world, they've also challenges that we all face, and the role that each one of us has to play in tackling. So, despite the enormity of these challenges, there are also opportunities right now for finance and business to help achieve the sustainability development as part of the recovery plan to build resilient and sustainable organised economies. What we'll see today is the difference and the astonishing impact that smart, driven young people influencing and affecting change. We must be prepared to challenge and work together to help the business world to rise to the transformation required for the future. The challenges are global, and overcoming them will require collaboration. You play a key role in influencing and affecting change. Change don't necessarily have to be big, but the sooner you begin. Having a global platform such as FinBizz 2030, networks such as One Young World and Chartered Accountants Worldwide to facilitate and to drive action is absolutely vital. This event inspirational, and that you'll be encouraged to take action from what you've and become difference makers in your own right. That you'll continue to be involved, join the FinBizz global community, and that you'll join us for future webinars and events. Seeing how you, as young leaders, can use your talent and your drive. You can make a difference for you, your, and the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, for your truly inspiring and encouraging words. Now, it wouldn't be a FinBizz webinar without a welcome for our dearest, beloved Kate Robertson from One Young World. She is a One Young World's visionary co-founder and CEO. Take it away, Kate.
Thank you so much, Baday, and so good to see those of you that I can actually see at the moment. And congratulations to all of you in Indonesia for carrying on this vital work for FinBizz. Today, I would like to, as I'm in Scotland, where One Young World has been conducting a lot of panels and events at COP26, to focus on that as an overarching point for the Sustainable Development Goals. So the news out of Glasgow this morning, the draft agreement, is not great. The progress is minimal, and there needed to be a lot of progress, but that's only regarding the commitments, the NDCs of the national contributions of each government to their emissions lowering targets. And they stand this, at the moment, it seems to be that if all of those were delivered, then by 2030, we would get to 2.4 degrees warming, which of course is 0.9 above where we need to be. And I particularly want to talk to you about that today because this is Chartered Accountants Worldwide. So I've said before in FinBizz that I and we at One Young World would regard the accounting and auditing professions as some of the most important in the world. And I know that with a lot of young people, that's not a fashionable thing to say. It's not that cool. People would maybe rather be out there starting their own NGOs or doing something different or something they feel to be more creative. One of the most important groups of people and professionals in this fight to fight against the impact of climate change and to try to ensure climate justice all over the world. Who is doing the counting? Who is doing the counting? Who is holding governments to account for what they do? So I'll give you a simple example. So they haven't agreed yet this morning at COP on the $100 billion a year, which was supposed to have been agreed 5 years ago, allegedly was agreed and wasn't delivered. Now they are struggling this morning to get to $100 billion a year committed to developing countries in the fight to allow them to transition, to help them to transition. That commitment still isn't there. But this, I would say, let's say there's the $100 billion. The first question as an accountant would be, you promised $100 billion, where is it? Yeah? They didn't distribute the money last time. A tiny proportion of it went. Why? So, number one question, which countries committed to giving that money? Accountants, you can find this, okay? And then, month by month, asking the question, you promised 4 billion, what happened? Where is it? If we cannot get the counting right, and that is for you guys, we don't know if there's progress or not, whilst the world burns under our feet. That is just a fact. However, if you go to, I don't want to say optimistic, but if you go to the more positive side, you have to think that 2010, but certainly at the start of 2015, before the Paris Agreement, we were on track, apparently, to get to 4 degrees warming by 2050. So if it is true that we could get to 2.4, that is progress. No, it's 1.6 of progress, if it is true, right? Well, who's counting? You, the accounting profession can help. So for me, my message to many of the young people and the activists and professionals that I've seen in Glasgow has been, do the counting. Make sure that you are absolutely literate in every single number. What is your government's commitment? Where is the pathway? How are they doing it? And by when? So if you say we're going to be at X by 2030, what's the pathway? Where are we going to be at the end of 2022? Oh, how are you going to do that, government? And keep asking the question, going onto social media, going to national media and saying, this is our government's commitment. Where is it? We need to know and do the counting. Because if we don't get the counting right, we are certainly in danger of another 5 years going by. And let's be honest, no government in the world, with the possible exception of those of the threatened island states, the small island nations, and maybe Bhutan, no government is doing what it should be doing. And they have not done what they needed to do at COP. I'm sure they're people of goodwill in their negotiating teams. They're doing their best, but there has been a lot of behind the scenes. You know, we used to call it nonsense. I would say there's a lot of behind the scenes evil going on. Those countries in the G20 that have lobbied to soften the language and to disagree that coal should be phased out and to ask for more time, got to tell you something. These will be the greatest mass murderers in history. That is how the human story is now going to play out. The greatest mass murderers in history are those people and those countries who are trying to break this thing down. Now, can't afford to get depressed about it, can't afford to lose hope, can't afford to do nothing. So what do? Count, 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 count. Everything, every action, every single promise. Keep saying it, keep asking, where is it? We must not sleep for 4 years until another big COP comes up, because really, We are past midnight now. So this is where I would urge chartered accountants worldwide, every single accountant, bring your profession and your training and your numerical literacy and skills to this party. Please, please, for all our sakes. That's one's on you. You're the only people who can deliver the counting. Bade, back to you.
As always, we are so grateful for the fire you bring to this event, and particularly put the emphasis of how our profession are very important to safeguard the accountability for the world and for the environment. And also, thank you so much for everything that you have done to support the young leaders around the world with the One Young World and beyond. And it is now time to hear from our headline speakers today. We have three fantastic young leaders who are real change maker in their industries. First up, I'm delighted to introduce you with Agung Bimo Listianu. In his day job, Bimo split his time between managing Danone's ecosystem fund in Asia Pacific and leading on the commercial side of his initiative with Carbon Ethic, that is a not-for-profit organization that aims to accelerate the climate crisis through climate education and blue carbon ecosystem conservation. The virtual stage is yours, Bimo.
Thank you, Badai, and thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ikatan Akuntan Indonesia, Chartered Accountants Worldwide, and for sure, One Young World. Let me just share my screen. Okay. All right. Is everything shown already? I hope so. So, hello, everyone. Thanks, Bade, for introducing me. I think it's very delighted for me representing Carbon Ethics. And I think this is the second time Carbon Ethics is present in this event. So thank you so much. And Carbon Ethics founders basically met in One Young World 2018 in The Hague. And Carbon Ethics is the products of One Young World. And now it's sustaining as a not-for-profit organization. So we started in 2019, and then as a not-for-profit NGO. And then after that, we grew up until now. And this year, it's about the year of transformation of Carbon Ethics to bring more impact. And our purpose is simple. We want to decelerate climate crisis. But by that, we want to educate more people about climate and at the same time to conserve the blue carbon ecosystem, while at the same time improving the livelihood of coastal communities. We have 3 steps of interventions. The first is educate. Yeah, we educate people about their carbon emissions. We develop carbon calculator that you can access for free in our website. And after that, after they know their level of emissions, we suggest them to reduce, and then unavoidable emissions, they can offset through restorations of blue carbon. And then when we're talking about sequestering carbon, we're not only planting, but also protecting it forever so that it can effectively absorb carbon. So that's why we also teach the farmers how to use digitalizations for ensuring that all of the mangrove, the baby mangrove that you plant is submitted directly from the farmers to the website that you can see. Yeah, very transparent. And I think another thing that our intervention that we really love, it's about the farmers itself. We want to have an inclusive business model, and the impact for the coastal community with our farmers is double, triple revenues of income that they have versus the baseline. And this is the impact, especially in the pandemic where the lockdown happens, the farmers is declining in terms of income, 90%. They don't have the activity on fishing and tourism. So one of the source of income is from Carbon Ethics. And the last one is also about young people. We believe that when we want to create sustainable impact, we have to empower the young generations because they will lead the present and also the futures. But there's a gap. They have high energy, but somehow they don't have the relevant skills needed to change the world, to change the climate narrations. So that's why we put our time as well to develop these young people. And, you know, fast forward 1 year later in 2020 impact, we do count our impact social, environmental, and economy. So our social return of investment is 1 over 4. So every $1 invested, we can deliver $4 social value in return. So this is pretty much about carbon ethics. And after we grow this big, so what's next? Is it we're happy? Yes, we're happy, but is it enough for the climate? I bet it's no. So this year is the year of transformation of carbon ethics, and we decided to scale the impact. And there's 3 phases that we face until we realize that we need to move on these directions. The first one is recovery. So I think recovery is about how we have the guts to taking the risk. In the middle of 2020, last year, when in the heavy of lockdowns, we received so many bad news from our volunteers that they got layoff from their current employers, and also from our farmers because of the limited activity in the island. So we brave ourselves to finally recruit our first full-timer in the first month, second full-timer in the second month, and the third full-timer as well. And nobody knows. 1 year later, carbon ethics grow 10 times bigger and financially sustained. For sure, we're still not perfect internally, especially on resource management. So that's why in the second phase, we need to refocus. So when we refocus, it's, we step back and evaluate. We do have big ambition to decelerate climate crisis, but we cannot do everything at the same time. So this year is this time for us to decide which product we keep, which one to drop, and focus on the low effort and high impact initiative, reprioritizations basically. And we get the product and program that we want to focus at the end of the day. And the third step is the rebuild. We know the focus and priority, but it's time to revamping our business model, forecasting for the next 10 years. And if we ever to bring external investor, so who and how. So it's about the scaling up our business model. But when we reflect back to transform this organization in the middle of the pandemic, we need 3 types of leadership. The first one is the leadership that focusing on empowering and developing young people. And the second one is the leadership that value collaboration over competitions. When we talk about climate, I don't think there's heavy kind of head-to-head competitions. We need to hand-in-hand public sectors, NGO activists, government, they need to collaborate to make the change happen. Yeah, there's no point of us having the fierce competition in this environmental area. And the third one is leadership in driving the economic model. So finance and business mindset and skill is very crucial if we want to make the change, especially on sustainability. So it's about how we make our organization sustain, not only for now, but also relevant for the upcoming years ahead. So my last message, use your leadership, finance, and business skills to create change that you want to see in the world. Not tomorrow, not the future, but it has to be now because climate cannot wait and they need you. Thank you. Back to you, Badai.
Thank you so much, Bimo. It's always great to see the positive impact that you are achieving and the difference you are trying to make for us and for the environments. Next up, we have Mutiara Hapsari. Over the years, Tiara has worked her way up through Coca-Cola Europe Pacific and is now the head of business planning, passionate about quality education and female empowerment. And she is also the co-lead for the Female Warriors community in Coca-Cola Euro Pacific Partners, or CCEP Indonesia. Please welcome Tiara to the virtual stage.
Thank you so much, Badai. That's a great introduction. Before I start, I would like to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone whenever you are dialing in. With across almost, I think, over 2,000 participants across countries, I can sense the different time zone, which is somehow challenging, but I want for us to realize that it has been a privilege to connect globally and also to learn, including myself, from each of the story here. So today I'm going to share a little bit of my professional journey alongside with the personal fulfillment in this particular occasion. So professionally saying, I'm a finance person in a giant multinational company Coca-Cola, you're a Pacific partner based in Indonesia, but really what I do in daily, like Kate mentioned, finance is close to number. So I talk to numbers almost every day, but it's just as much as I talk to people because we really need to have that communication and building the business case. So living in a pandemic situation more than ever, business speed to response has changed exponentially. So this is also related to our role as an accountant or even as finance professional. Because at the end of the day, we have to ask ourselves the question, how do we want to create value in order to sustain the business? Like previous speaker also mentioned, there are lots of business has been out of the way because of the COVID situation. Not only sustain, we wanted to come stronger and rebuild the future. So that's basically the question that we need to ask ourselves. And in my formulation, I think it's about creating a value. And what value it is. So value, I mean, in this equation has the three things. The first one is the quality of work. So I think regardless whether you are a finance professional or anyone else, it's also the important part. It's not only doing the job, but you make sure that you have a standard quality of doing it, your job. Second thing is efficiency, and the last one is the benefit to others. So these three components coming to the way, because finance, like ourselves, we love to have a reports, right? We love to create a matrix to see and track everything. But if out of the 10 reports that we are making, 8 of that sitting at the desk, no one touch and no one action about that, then the question is that really adding the value? And is that something that we can do to make it better? So that's the question I also want to leave with the audience here, including myself, in terms of how do we want to improve our ways of working. Not only that, the roles of finance, I also believe, is centered into two things. First one is about data, information, facts. So not only seeing what's the historical saying, but also the potential of the future. It comes into sustainability action, for example, also. But the second part, also important, is about center of connections. As a center of connection, I mean, finance also have a glue towards across different departments, different teams, across organization. And I think that's why we think in order to move, for example, thousands of people in organization, you need someone that can also hold everyone accountable to their own metrics. And this is why the role of finance and accountant come into the places. I believe that staying in the business is not only for private sector, but also public or non-profit organization. But what's important from that is that we need to make sure as a finance and accounting profession, we also need to make a better informed decision for the organization. We need to help them. So when they want to allocate the fund or resources like Kate mentioned, for example, we need to also help the organization to prioritize and to make sure that sustainability is a part of the agenda. For instance, in this organization, we wanted to focus about how we built the recycle facility and how we move or transform into the recycle packaging for our products to better serve the world. So this is the point where we have to trigger a conversation within the organization, within a cross function to start to build the pathway to go there. We are not perfect, obviously, but we think that we make progress, and the question is whether progress is accelerating enough for the future. One closing remarks that I wanted to have everyone here take away from this session is be thirsty, really. It's not because I work in the beverage company, obviously, but also be thirsty of a knowledge, be thirsty of a challenge, be thirsty of any experience that you can get so you can make an impact towards your organization. And more importantly, also, you need to be thirsty to challenge the status quo and make it a better place to work or a better place to live, obviously. So with that, I will hand over back to Badai. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much for the amazing introduction, Tiara. And finally, I would like to introduce you with Prakash Koirala, a fellow One Young World ambassador and a founder of FinLead Nepal, an organization that works with governments, companies, and neighborhood groups to develop programs and policies to boost financial literacy and inclusion in the country's financial system. Over to you, Prakash.
Thank you so much. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever. I'm speaking from Canada, so it's early morning here. So I'm very pleased to be here today with the distinguished panelists to share some of my thoughts on how we can make a better community. Thank you, One Young World. Thank you, Chartered Accountant Worldwide, and thank you, IAI. So I'm a firm believer that because of this pandemic, we are encouraged to reflect on strategies that can promote sustainable long-term solutions for the future. So this is leading us to a future where the economic and financial environment would be fundamentally different. That could be like a value-based or financially inclusive society, or financially resilient young generations, or maybe digital economy, or very much accountable and transparent government services. So first thing is first, a fundamental factor for any country to achieve significant progress after crisis relies on the quality of human capital and entrepreneurs. So going forward, I think countries should strive to align their COVID-19 responses to longer-term human capital objectives. So government, maybe civil societies or financial institutions, because I work with them. And then the private sector must join forces to deploy such kind of ambitious and evidence-driven investment to help equip every person to achieve their potential. I'm not saying this, so this is not only my saying, but World Bank is saying this. So this is the urgent need of actions that everybody has to follow. And second, SMEs, small and medium enterprises and entrepreneurs are crucial for tracing new paths to more sustainable and inclusive growth, thanks to their role in developing and diffusing innovations and providing employment. However, they can only fulfill this role if they obtain the finance necessary to start and grow their business. They can only do if, as we as a chartered accountant provide good guidance, financial advisory to the advice to them. And banking and financial institution has the power to accelerate it. So as I'm doing now, we in the finance field, we can educate people and we can raise a voice and we can connect the bridge between the public and between financial institutions so that they can help each other. So folks, the key to resetting the world is entrepreneurship, as I want to reiterate that again. So government should take whatever means necessary to foster environments conducive to startups. That's why any country can, any country can start recovering by building a creative economy. So I want to make it loud and clear, creative economy is a marketplace that harnesses the creative ideas of individuals and marries them with the green technology. I'm saying again, it's not the technology, it's a green technology. So I believe that Build Back Better should start from small, medium enterprises as well. And third, we must be very aware of the need to ensure that as we are rebouncing back, we must also green the economy. Our economic decisions and activities, or maybe our financial decisions and financial activities maybe, this should be focused on impact they have on the environment. So we must envision better and more efficient use of green technology that will have twin impacts of accelerating our economic progress while addressing pressing environmental issues and support to COP26 goal as well. So restoring financially healthy growth while ensuring that gains are broadly shared require determined and systematic actions across the broad range of policy areas. So I want to highlight some of them here. So successful reform measures share some common characteristics, and one of that is government should gather public support for reforms. So lawmakers should clearly inform citizens about it, and the participations and the recommendation from non-parties and third parties help promote well-structured and less biased policies. So this is, I believe this is the only way to fight against recover, rebuild, and restructure kind of stuff. So I came to know that there are so many chartered accountants and aspiring chartered accountants, they are here today. So we have the opportunity to contribute to the development of the financial system and to the financial microeconomic stability. So as global economy is heading towards recovery, it is crucial for us to embrace reform towards more responsible and meaningful financial activities. So we are together, let's do our part. And back to you, sir.
Thank you, Prakash. Now it's time to get into the panel discussions. We have some questions from our wonderful audiences that are ready to be discussed with our amazing speakers today. And to start us off, the question will be, what are your views about the impact of COVID on the finance functions in the private, public, and NGO organizations? Do you expect demand for finance professional to increase or stay the same or maybe decrease? And how do you see the future scope of the role of finance and accounting professionals to change beyond the traditional areas? I think I would like to go with Tiara to answer this question because I understand that you love working with numbers. So yeah.
Correct. What I can tell about being traditional view of accountant is I used to learn trial balance when I was in university, but at the moment I didn't do that at all. So I believe the future of finance is also integrated with technology, and maybe most of our works will be automated by that time. So really, indeed, how do we want to bring value is to add insight to that number, to give the interpretation about the number. So I believe that the role of finance will not disappear in the future, but it has to be transformed. So it's not doing the accounting treatment, all the paperwork and pencil, but it has to be alongside with the technology, machine learning, data analytics. That's where our friend will be in the future, or maybe starting from now. That's my view.
I see. So the integration with the technology is indeed needed to improve the role of finance and business professionals. So who wants to add next? Can we go with Bimo?
I can go.
Yeah, please.
So I think in carbon ethics, especially in the middle of pandemic, COVID-19, we definitely expand in terms of finance person. So there's only one accountant for the organizations. And now we have having supply chain operations finance team and commercial finance team. Wow. So I think it's growing. So and in the context of this, for sure, if we want to scale up even more, we need also finance person to exercise about the business model, financial forecast, valuation, and or equity, etc. So I think in terms of carbon ethics wise, yes, we do expand. So if there's a not-for-profit movement as well that you can see, there's a demand in it as well, I'm sure. But when we're talking about the future scope of accounting person, it can be, you need also to enrich yourself in terms of the carbon footprint. Because, I give an example in Indonesia, when the carbon tax policy is, announced by the government, and there's a lot of companies that's actually reach out to us and saying that, hey, we want to have a GSG accounting, embedded in our corporate. So I think this is something, the place or the area that you also can enrich, beyond your conventional accounting role. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely agree. So it adds up to optimism in our professions that we are not only doing the commercial stuff. In fact, if we would like to extend this profession into a non-profit organization, yeah, our works are so impactful as well. And Prakash, I would like to give it to you.
I see as a financial advisor as a very important role in our daily life. So I think like financial advisor are the people who give the life to the people, to the organizations, to the institutions, whatever. So my previous panelists already mentioned that. So I don't think there's gonna be the scarcity or there's gonna be a problem on that, but I would say more opportunity on that sector. But the only thing is you need to have the guts to say the right word. You need to have that guts to be very true to yourself, right? So because we are the people who are always try to be accountable and transparent, and this matters a lot in terms of building a community. So I think there's more opportunity in the future. So I don't think we need to worry about that.
Okay, thank you. Now, talking about the future demand of accountants and finance and business professionals. So we are actually right now in the era of fourth industrial revolutions where a lot of things have been automated. So yeah, I think no longer putting the journal ledger trial balance, it can be worked by the machine. And the interesting question will be, what skills do finance and accounting students and professionals need in the midst of technological development and machine automation so as not to be left behind? Okay, who would like to address this query first? Bimo?
Yes.
Okay, you have something. Okay.
Thanks, Badai. I think I resonate heavily with Mutiara as well. I think as an accountant and finance person, you need to familiarize yourself with no-code platform such as maybe Airtables like Google Studio, Tableau, and also finance payment platform, such as, we know BigFlip in Indonesia, for example. Why? Because I think more and more people are working remotely and we use digital ecosystem basically. So basic finance procedures, transactions. So goodbye manual work. So it's integrated into digital system. So you need to familiarize yourself with that. So that's my my 1 or 2 cents. Thank you.
Okay. Prakash, you would like to add anything?
Yes, I would say be you. So don't be over ambitious, because I can tell you one of the stories that I have seen in my life. So there are a couple of friends of mine who were very ambitious when they were chartered accountant for the first time, and now they're fighting with the legal issues in their court, right? So because they are so too much over ambitious. So I would say if you are into these professions, be you, be transparent, be honest, and don't be over ambitious in your starting like career. Say, like, I would say 3 years or 5 years down the line. So after that, you can plan your career. But starting in your starting period, I would say don't be over ambitious, be true, and try to make a connections and try to make a network, and that will help you to achieve your own potentials.
Okay, that makes a good point, Prakash, that it is not only about our skill as an accountant, but it is also the network that matters to improve, to improve our opportunity. Tiara, it goes to you.
Yes, okay, sure. I guess if we're talking about digital data information analytics, I wanted to take a timetable. So in the past, we are being challenged by limited amount of information, so less data. But now and in the future, our challenge is because we have too many information and too many data. So I think the skills that requires to students, professional, is about how to build a structured thinking. So you're not getting a trap into too much information, but really to get what out of that information that can be useful and applicable to your organization, be it in the private or public or non-profit organization. So that's my takeaway to everyone. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, so if I can wrap up, what do we need to have in this era of automation? It's not only our expertise, but it is also the network, the way our thought work with the structured thinking. And yeah, those are a good points to note down by our audience. Now, the third questions, how do we equip ourselves mentally, emotionally, technically, professionally as individual in order to help recover, refocus, and rebuild businesses and communities under the new normal conditions after this pandemic? Prakash, would you mind starting to address this?
100%. So I'm a kind of a spiritual person. So that's the reason I wanted to tell, like, start doing some yoga and some meditations that will help you to go deep inside yourself. And then that will help you to speak true, right? So I would say do yoga, do some meditations, and go to the nature work. And so I have seen a couple of my friends as well. And then while working in the field, I have seen a couple of people who were struggling to get some really good advice from the people. So I think you need to make some really good people, let's say 5 people at least. So if you have thousands of people in your circle, make a 5 people as a good friend. Because it is said that the average quality of 5 people gonna be yours, right? So if you really wanted to be a good human being, I would suggest everybody to choose at least 5 good people from your circle and make a relationship with them, and then be used to with them, and then that way you can build your really good habit, right? And another thing is, so everybody wanted to be in a very famous, or maybe everybody wanted to get lots of money in a short period of time. But I would say, don't think about that. Just focus on your work. So everybody knows, like if we have a true intentions, even nature support us, right? So just have a true intentions and focus on your skills rather than career, as I said again. As I said before, so focus on your skills, do some yoga and meditations, and make a really good connections, at least 5 people out of like thousands or 100 or whatever you have, because that 5 people's average quality is gonna be yours, right? So be stick on that.
Okay, so just be relaxed, not to be overly ambitious, but what important is to build network. Yeah, if in your formulation is the network of 5 people, and no worry, you will get there. That's a good key and formulation.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for that. And Tiara?
Yes, thanks, Vade. I think I would agree with Prakash about the network. So 2 tips from my side. The first one is having self-awareness. And I think Prakash goes with yoga, and I have a different type of how I want to cope with my situation. So I rather choose exercise, wall climbing, to set myself in a tone and get myself energized again. So I think having the self-awareness about what works for you, what doesn't work, things that trigger yourself and things that can excite you will help you better equip yourself in different challenging situations. The second part is having a support system. I think this is what I said, what I see similar to Prakash, that you don't have to have like 1,000 people, but as long as you keep your circle close and supportive to you, I think that will be one of the best support that can have you go far from your journey. So this is my advice, pieces to advice. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Tiara. I agree that we need to have a good support system. Yeah, because it would definitely help us to achieve in any causes we would like, because we are not going to work everything alone. So we need other people's help to achieve that. Kak Bimo,
Yeah.
do you have anything to add?
Yes, obviously about self-awareness. I think my additions will be respect ourselves. So we need to know our strengths and weaknesses so that we know when to push and when to push back ourselves and to other people. So energy management is very important. In one day, you need to be disciplined when to eat, when to work, and when to rest. And when you're working, you need to split your time between thinking, strategizing, advising, or doing, or meeting. Most of the time, people are drowned with so many meetings and being busy and not productive, sacrificing our mental health. So, and at the end of the day, you also don't forget to know what activity that you can make you recharge every day. 30 minutes, 1 hour, you need to spend time to that as well. So if there's a wall climbing and this is a yoga, so for me, it's singing. Thank you. Back to you, Badai.
Yes, definitely. If we would like to achieve something, I think it also comes down to having a good self-awareness and manage our time and have a good mental health and do not be too overly ambitious. Yes. So everything is linked together here. So I learned a lot from you guys, from Prakash, just relax, have a good network. And then from Tiara, you need to have a good support system. And also from Kak Bimo, that we need to manage our time and have a good self-awareness so that everything can be balanced and we can go there on the right directions to achieve our causes and our purpose. Now, the last questions we have today is that what skills are needed to build resilience to be a difference maker in this pandemic era? Who would like to start?
I can go.
Okay, carry on, Prakash.
Yeah. So guys, I'm a financial literacy guy. So I would encourage everybody to start saving whatever the money you are making, or if you are not earning any money, start controlling your bad spending habit first, number one. And number two, I would encourage you to go for 1 day silence at least. Don't use your phone, don't use your social media, and try to roam your community and try to find out what is their problem there. And try to see if that is your problem, how are you going to address that? Right? If you really want to make a change in your community, try to see that is your opportunity there and try to see how we can make a solutions for that. Right? That's what I wanted to tell you, everybody.
Tiara, do you have anything to add?
Okay, skills. This is interesting because I think if we wanted to be a difference maker, the question to ourselves is how long that we wanted to go. Because we have to set a different tone from the crowd, or we have to do more beyond on the average. So maybe that will also leads to overwork, long hours, and giving our time more to the society or the greater goods that we are trying to do. But really the question is, you have to know, I have to know what the purpose that I'm making a difference on. And that's why I think regardless of the long work hours that you're going to face, you have the belief that it's going to make impact not only for yourself and to the other one. The second point that I also want to make a statement of is to take a pause. Maybe this is for me, this is for everyone in this situation as well. Take a pause for yourself and really to reflect back and assess how far you have come through all the challenging situation and how far that will you go in 2023. So that's really the question you need to answer yourself. And it's a different it's different milestone to everyone. We cannot push everyone to have the same milestone, obviously, but really to understand where are you at the moment and where will you see yourself in the future. So that's how you wanted to make a difference. If you want to start small, start within your community, because we all have a different roles. I have a role as a finance professional, also a female in community, also a daughter or a sister, a family of friends. So make an impact and make a difference towards your surrounding. So that's my advice and share of thought. Thank you.
Fantastic, Tiara. So I would be happy to invite Kabimo to conclude these questions.
Yeah, I do have additional points. So skills needed to build resilience, to be difference maker. The inquisitiveness. So thirst of learning new things, because this is the motivation, this is your fuel to try multiple opportunities. And when you fail, you don't see it as failure, but you see it as the learning, and you will be easy to bounce back. And the second one is that learn how to learn. Everybody for sure have different style of learning, and you cannot generalize. What might good for me might not good for you. So when you know your learn style, this makes you more effective to bounce back and be resilient. Thank you.
Wow, we have lots of lessons learned here, quotes after quotes to be noted down by our audience. So guys, I think that's the end of the panel discussion. I wish we could have more time during these panels, especially with this amazing group. And thank you for your brilliant and resourceful insight. I know I have gained a huge deal from our short time together, guys. So it is now time to hear from the hugely impressive, our Finance Minister, Dr. Sri Mulyani Indrawati. She is an Indonesian economist who has been the Minister of Finance of Indonesia since 2016. She has been appointed many accolades. including being crowned as the best Minister of Finance in Asia by the emerging market in the sidelines of World Bank and IMF's annual session in Singapore in 2006. And she was elected as the 23rd most influential woman in the world by Forbes magazine in 2008. She's surely the pride of Indonesia. So we are so honored to have you here today, Bu Sri Mulyani, to wrap up our FinBizz 2030 session and reflect on our motivating event. Please welcome Dr. Sri Mulyani.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon for the President of Ikatan Akuntan Indonesia, Professor Dr. Mardiasmo, Chairman of Chartered Account Worldwide, Michael Iza, Founder, One Young World, Kate Robertson, and our panelists, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First, I would like to express my appreciation to Ikatan Akuntan Indonesia and also Chartered Accounts Worldwide, as well as One Young World for conducting Finance and Business 2030. This event with the theme of Recover, Refocus, and Rebuild is very, very timely, especially in building and rebuilding after pandemic. I hope this event will provide opportunity for the young accountant, especially to learn, to contribute, as well as to equip themselves with necessary skill and information to embrace the future with optimism. We all know that the COVID-19 pandemic has huge implications globally. It is even more complex than global financial crisis 2007-2008. The pandemic has struck Indonesia as well as all other countries in the world, with substantial ramification to every level and foundation of our basic daily social life. It has disrupted the economy, limited real sector activity and people activity, and very much threatened the financial sector. To deal with this crisis, all countries deploy extraordinary policy, covering the area of fiscal, monetary, and also financial sector. In 2020, the total global fiscal stimulus to support health, social protection, as well as business reached around $12 trillion. In the monetary sector, various central banks have also implemented quantitative easing policy up to around $7.5 trillion. This is according to the IMF report 2020. The world is still facing with the uncertainty with this global pandemic. The biggest challenge today comes from Delta variant, which also created a threatening not only to life, but also economic recovery to more than 193 countries in the world. The disruption in the global supply chains, followed by rising energy price, also creating a more complex environment for the economic recovery. This condition also creating pressure on inflation in several countries. In the US, for example, we also see the inflation has already reached 5.4% in September 2021. This is the highest in the last 13 years. And European Union, they also having inflation at the level of 3.4%, which is also the highest in recent years. Structural change in China also contributed to this complexity of the recovery, with rapid economic growth to slower but sustainable growth. This also have a potential complexity to disrupt global supply chains. We are grateful that Indonesia economic performance shows a solid recovery that is also supported by the recovery on the economic growth. After more than 7% in the second quarter, our third quarter growth is 3.51%. This is due to the variant Delta, which is affecting severely during July and until the mid of August. The economic recovery also reflected in the development of several other indicators. the highest manufacturing purchasing manager index at the level of 57.2 in October 2021, showing that the manufacturing sector activity is now also contributing to the economic recovery. We also see the mobility of the population is already also reaching the pre-COVID level, and various activity like consumption as well as public spending index has also contributed to the strengthening of the recovery. Indonesia financial sector and financial system stability is still continue maintained. This is in line with our continuing national economic recovery and also a very capable of handling of COVID-19 consequences. Total fundraising in the capital market until October 2021 has reached 273.9 trillion rupiah. This is well above the 2021 target and higher than the fundraising in 2020, which is only 118.7 trillion. The very robust as well as increasing capital, which is fundraised through the capital market, showing an investor confidence, which have a positive impact to our stock market performance. On the other hand, the banking system is still continue in the restructuring process, and they are now starting to recover their economic, their credit growth, as well as providing financing to the business sector. The direction of the recovery in the Indonesia economy is still on track, but we also, in this case, not complacent. We remain vigilant because the policy environment will be continue very complex, especially with the global environment, which is very dynamic. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, 2021 is the year of recovery, but we also see unevenness of the global recovery. This is especially due to uneven vaccination progress and also recurring COVID-19 breakout, just like the COVID Delta, as we can see at this today. Asynchronous economic cycle may widen interest rate differential, and this could trigger disorderly capital outflow, mainly from emerging market as well as developing economies. For those countries, especially emerging and developing countries with high indebtedness and weak fundamental, this can create a threatening recovery process. This condition could also exert pressure to the banking sector and also impede lending activity going forward. The economic recovery, which is uneven, will also have the implication on the global financial stability, which underlie the importance for the global community to place equitable economic recovery as our priority. Indonesia, as a country that will hold the G20 presidency in 2022, will not only paying attention to the interests of its member countries, but also to the whole world recovery. This is especially for the developing countries, small island, as well as the vulnerable. Indonesia will assume presidency of the Group of 20 starting December 1st, and we will host its summit in 2022 in Bali. As 2022 leaders of the world's 20 largest economy, Indonesia will raise the theme of recover together and recover stronger. This is especially the theme which promote not only the Indonesia hope, but also readiness to play a role in global partnership. We also, in this case, will pay attention, especially the impact of pandemic and promote global confidence. With the theme of recover together, recover stronger, there are three pillars to support this theme. The first pillar is promoting productivity. In this pillar, our objective is to have a more productive and balanced global economy. It is our focus to promote even recovery through equitable vaccine rollout and enhance efficiency in the economy through digital transformation, especially for small and medium enterprises to boost financial inclusion and economic opportunity, including improving the quality of human capital post-COVID. We also, within this pillar, will include the important development of financial market and addressing infrastructure financing, as well as digital taxation challenges. On the second pillar, we are going to address the increasing resiliency and stability that need, or in this case, as a necessary condition to have a greater financial and monetary system stability. In this pillar, we are going to discuss significant efforts such as improving pandemic preparedness, protecting countries against policy spillover due to exit policy, as well as enhancing global resilience and addressing risk of excessive capital volatility. The third pillar on the presidency is to ensure sustainable and inclusive growth. On the one hand, we believe that we can achieve sustainable growth by promoting sustainable finance and assessing impact of environment on financing access. But on the other hand, promoting financial inclusion, including fintech role in small medium enterprises financing, as well as enhancing the role of small medium enterprises, including how we are going to be able to enhance economic inclusion. G20 Indonesia presidency will play a very critical role, particularly in directing sets of policy consideration to achieve global recovery, which is even and sustainable as well as inclusive. Therefore, it is important to promote policy to improve the functionality of international financial standard and also reducing pro-cyclicality to achieve a more balanced intermediation. This is especially to support also the agenda of financial inclusion and sustainable banking intermediation. Policy, which is also very critical to strengthening the structural recovery, also a policy to discuss on how countries designing their trajectory to support recovery, especially for the small, medium enterprises, and also many support which is required to strengthen the fundamental of the economy is going to be also addressed critically. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are formulating and implementing recovery strategy from this pandemic with the principle of transparency and accountability as the two most important that should not and cannot be neglected. Indonesia, as a fiscal response to this COVID-19, also issue a extraordinary law, the government regulation, which has become an extraordinary law number 2/2022, which allow government to finance, especially during this COVID time, with expansion of the fiscal policy, and that's also creating a precedent for the deficit level above 3% of GDP for 3 years. This is one of the, what you call it, regulation or legislation, which is creating a strong foundation on the governance for our country to be able to respond emergency and extraordinary situation due to the COVID, but still in an accountable and transparent as well as responsible way. Last year deficit in our fiscal has reached 6.1% of GDP. This is especially to accommodate unprecedented health as well as social protection and economic stimulus, while our revenue has been dropped because of the tax revenue, which is also contracted due to the economic situation. The debt level is also slightly increased, which is around 39%. And this is continued to be managed very prudent according to the policy as well as governance, which is already put in place. Since 2015, we have been improving our transparency and accountability on our public finance governance. through the implementation of accrual-based accounting in government accounting standard. Government accounting standard, which is developed by using international best practice, that is the International Public Sector Accounting Standard. We are formulating our accounting policy, system, and application following government accounting standard. We are using also digital technology to also integrate the application and database for government spending through the application that we call it SPAN and Sakti. We use this digital technology in order for us to be able to create a better governance public finance, but also in this case, creating a strong accountability. On the government financial reporting, we are applying internal control over financial reporting and carrying out audits of the government financial statements since 2004. During 2004 to 2008, our government financial statement received disclaimer opinion. This is the first time for the Indonesia to establish our balance sheet and financial statement. The audit has been performed by Audit Board of Indonesia, or we call it Supreme Audit, which is independent. So this is also creating a better and strong governance in Indonesia. The recommendation of the auditor's findings on the government financial reporting, in this case, consistently being followed or adopted by the government in order for us to be able to implement good governance within our government financial system. And this improvement has been reflected in 2009 until 2015. Government financial report received qualified opinion, and since 2016 onward, our financial statement received unqualified opinion. So this is journey for all of us, for this country, for Indonesia, to be able to continue develop good governance and better system to manage and to implement accountability, transparency, and prudence principle on state finance management. In order to increase our transparency and accountability, the Ministry of Finance also set out the Memorandum of Understanding with financial sector analysis, especially for the Pusat Pelaporan Analisa Transaksi Keuangan. This is Financial Sector Accountability Board that's monitor the flow of fund, including illicit financing. This collaboration have the objective to prevent and to eradicate money laundering and terrorist financing. Within this MOU, we, in this case, both sides will cooperate in many sectors, including monitoring the risk-based fiscal and financial sector policy formulation, and also to improve compliance monitoring to the reporting party. This is including all profession under the Ministry of Finance Authority. We also will work together to monitor taxation and custom criminal handling. In compliance monitoring to reporting party, one of the profession that is under Ministry of Finance Authority is, of course, accounting professions. The accounting professional play a very critical role in playing the principle of good governance by recognizing services users, in establishing business relation with client, and also having access to report suspicious transaction. With the part of the accounting profession, we hope you are all will also promote continuously transparency and accountability, not only in Indonesia, but also to the world. Tracking criminal act, especially through the money laundering and terrorism financing, is very critical for any country to be able to build good governance. With all this effort, the goals that we are trying to achieve is the Indonesia full membership in the Financial Action Task Force, or FATF. This is very critical for Indonesia, but also to the world, because Indonesia is a big enough country that can, if it is not included in the Financial Action Task Force, to become another risk for Indonesia, but also to the world. Indonesia, in this case, will continue implement steps in order for us to be able to become a full membership of this Financial Action Task Force. For the accounting profession, we also would like to have a continue working together to access financial report that is becoming very, very important to unveil corporate illegal practices. The Ministry of Finance also set out memorandum of understanding with Financial Sector Authority, or OJK, Otoritas Jasa Keuangan, in order for us to be able to improve the supervision of the accounting profession, especially in the financial sector. With above collaboration, we hope that the role of the accounting profession will be more real and will be very, very important in providing and building good governance, the culture of transparency, accountability, and credibility, not only within the government, but also within the business community and society. These are all very critical roles for all of us to play to achieve what we call it, the principle of transparency and accountability. For all of you aspiring professional accountants around the world, you should prepare yourself to face this very complex and unpredictable environment globally. In this occasion, I would like to invite you all, especially the younger generation, to continue increasing as well as improving your skill, but also importantly, to continue build your professional ethic as an accountant. Your credibility is identical to the ability of any institution and country to be able to build good governance, the sense as well as the principle of accountability. Your technical competence is very critical in order for you to be able to present the accountability in the most credible way. Your professional skill is going to be also very, very important in order for you to be able to continue, manage, and maintain what you call it, principle of professional value within your work. Professional values, ethics, as well as your good character or attitudes is going to be very critical, not only for your own personal career, but most importantly for the institution and for the country journey toward development. Future professional accountants are also required to increase the literacy about sustainable financing. We are now discussing about the world which is threatening by the climate change. So we are no longer just looking at what is actually appropriate and sound from the financial side, but also whether the decision made by financial system or financial institution will also continue supporting the effort globally in order to avoid the climate change calamities. Increasing number of financial sector to be able to put into account the climate risk is going to be very critical. Currently, we are now implementing what we call it environmental, social, and governance risk within our financial decision. For all of you, as a young accountant, the ability to understand this risk as well as to implement this within the context of not only financial principle, but auditing is going to be very, very critical. You are not going to not only saving the balance sheet or financial soundness of your institution, but you are going to be able to save the world. So in closing, I would like to express my appreciation to the Institute of Indonesia Chartered Account, Ikatan Akuntan Indonesia, which for 64 years has helped to build Indonesia economy by carrying your duty and responsibility through the preparation of financial accounting standard, and also to continue improve and strengthen professional accountants as a guardian of the integrity, transparency, as well as the soundness of the financial reporting and economic entities. I do hope ERE will continue to become a strong partner for government as well as business community to continue strengthening this integrity as well as transparency and accountability principle. The competence of the accountants is need to be upgraded, especially with the new challenge like pandemic and climate change. ERE for this must continue to strengthen itself in order to be able to play a role as a professional organization which is able to accommodate a competent, professional, and high integrity accountant. Thank you so much. I will leave it to you all to have a productive panel discussion on the theme of recover, refocus, and rebuild. I hope you are all will have a very fruitful and constructive discussion. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bu Dr. Sri Mulyani Indrawati, for summarizing our event with the optimism we need to drive forward the important work in our organizations all over the world. Today has been an exceptional opportunity to hear a range of stories from respected leaders in their field, and we are so grateful to each of you for joining us today. It has been truly amazing to hear from our speakers who have given us so much energy and motivation. Thank you again. Thank you for everyone who attend this event. I am now honored to welcome Professor Mardiasmo, who was Indonesia's 9th Deputy Minister of Finance. He has a very special announcement to share with all of us. That is the winners of the APA Fest 2021. Welcome, Professor Mardiasmo.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good evening from Jakarta, Indonesia. For Minister of Finance of the Republic of Indonesia, Dr. Sri Mulyani Indrawati, Chairman of the Chartered Accountants Worldwide, Michael Isa, Co-founder of the One Young World, Kate Robertson, Executive Director of IAI, Ibu Eli Jarni Husin, our panelists and moderator, accounting students, aspiring accountants, and all participants of the IAI Aspiring Professional Accountant Festival, or APA Fest 2021 from all over Indonesia, members of Chartered Accountant Worldwide, leaders of accountancy profession, and professional accountants from around the world. First of all, on behalf of IAI, I would like to thank Chartered Accountant Worldwide and One Young World for the opportunity to collaborate for the second time in this IAI Aspiring Professional Accountant Festival and FinBizz 2030 online series, Building Resilience. My appreciation also to Asian Federation of Accountants and all our partners for their support for the success of this year's APA Fest event. APA Fest is one of the IAI's important initiatives in developing the young generation of Indonesian accountants. The theme for this year's APA Fest is Proud to be Accountant, CA is a difference maker. It aims at providing an understanding to the younger generation and professional accountants of the important role of chartered accountant or CA in long-term development initiatives toward the goal of Indonesia Emas 2045. As we already aware, sustainability is the key word and an increasingly important issue that has noted center stage in many of our discussions. International Federation of Accountants and many of the important stakeholders of our profession have highlighted the changing demand and expectation toward the future role of accountants. Accountants today and tomorrow need to be equipped with the right skill sets and knowledge, including a comprehensive understanding of their role in supporting and contributing to the sustainability agenda. Through a robust, comprehensive, and continuously updated syllabus, CA Indonesia is a brand of recognition toward its holders' quality and capacity to adapt the challenges of today and tomorrow. This year's festival is our fifth. It is a reflection of our continued commitment toward building the capacity of our future aspiring and young accountants. More than 3,500 participants registered via our APAFES portal. More than 1,000 students from universities all over Indonesia participated in various competitions and our IAI CA Scholarships Award. More than 10,000 viewers tuning into the webinar series on current issues relevant to aspiring and professional accountants. All of these are important parts of our efforts to build a future-ready profession with CA at its core. We do hope APAFES will continue to be an excellent platform for stakeholders on the profession to engage with the best accounting students from university all over Indonesia and to encourage them to embrace the future of the profession as one of the important components for a stronger economy of Indonesia. As highlighted by Minister of Finance of Republic Indonesia in her speech, accountants are playing and will continue to play an important role in contributing the Indonesian effort to recover, refocus, and rebuild from the impact of the pandemic. Today's collaboration between IAI and One Young World is an important opportunity for aspiring and young accountants in Indonesia and the region to be inspired. And we celebrate this day, November 10, as the International Accounting Day. I am pleased to announce the winners from our APAFES 2021. These winners, along with every single one of you who have participated in this year's festival, are the future of our profession. We look forward to continuing our commitment to work with you, forward realizing your goal to become a professional accountant, a difference maker, a chartered accountant in Indonesia. Congratulations to all of you, the winners and participants APAFES. I wish all of you the very best in your journey. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
A very huge congratulations to the winner and shout out to everyone. I know that this year competition was very strong. Well done to all of you who applied and thank you for participating again. So this is a virtual applause for you. So this has given us immense confidence that the future of this profession is indeed in a good hands. Today has been a leadership masterclass led by some exceptional leaders and change makers in the business and finance industries. It is evident from listening to them today that it is our responsibility to lead and once again to lead with a purpose. We hope that you have enjoyed our session as much as I do. If you feel energized, happy, and inspired after today's event, we encourage you to share and tag us in your social media handles. Hashtag FinBizz 2030. Also, to all APA Fest participants, I have an important announcement for you that for you to obtain the certificate, you are required to join IAI survey. The link is on YouTube chat right now. You also need to enter the right keyword, as you can see on the slide: recover, refocus, and rebuild, all in caps lock. And also for everyone, we would like you to complete the FinBizz 2030 COP26 survey, which gives you the opportunity to speak your mind and how, as a young, as a community, we should and can take the climate action in your organization. Alternatively, sign up to the FinBizz 2030 newsletter to stay informed with this movement. We encourage you again and again to share your quotes of this event by adding the hashtag FinBizz 2030 and always tag us in your posts. So last but not least, I would like to say a very huge thank you to all our speakers today, and so much thanks to our partners at Big Top Multimedia and A1 for bringing this event to life. So I'm so happy, I'm so humbled, I'm also left energized after today's event, and I hope to see you guys, everyone, in the next FinBizz 2030. And today I have to sign off and see you in the next FinBizz 2030. Bye.